All right, guys, how much does love cost? I guess it depends on the person.
Easy now.
The Timberwolves are open to shopping Kevin Love, and ESPN's Mark Stein and Chris Broussard report Golden State is potentially offering Klay Thompson, David Lee, and a first-round pick for Love's services. Scale of 1 through 10, would that be a good trade for the Warriors, Scoop?
Me, I say a 2. Yeah, I don't like the fact that I like the idea of the trade. I just don't like the fact that there's no guarantee that he's going to stay once his contract is up. And there's no way for them to get that type of guarantee. So you're really giving up Klay Thompson for maybe a 1-2 year window max. And I don't know if you want to break that up that way. I don't know if it's worth it.
What if you knew there was a guarantee?
There's no way to get it. It's impossible. Kevin can't give it to you. Kevin didn't know what it's like.
You don't think there could be a conversation between the Warriors? Because I don't think the Warriors would make this trade unless they knew they could sign Kevin Love.
But even if he gives you a word, there's still no way to say if he can give you a word right now, the same word that the Golden State gave Mark Jackson. We like you right now, but now we don't like you, you're gone. Kevin can get, I like it right here, let's stay. And then when the contract is up and it doesn't play out the way it's supposed to play out, Kevin's like, I'm gone. I'm going to L.A. or I'm going wherever. I'm going to Miami because Pat Riley threw some rings on the table in front of me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So my thing with Golden State is that Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, great backcourt, something to build off of. You know, and you're giving up David Lee also. That's kind of a thing I would like to see ride out. To give it up for Kevin Love and not guarantee that he's going to be there at the end of that contract, which I think is at the end of next year, that's a one-year gamble I don't think is worth taking.
I'm going to give this an 8 because I think this is a good trade if it happens for Golden State because nothing against Klay Thompson. I'm a huge Klay Thompson fan. I love the fact that the Splash Brothers has become a great marketing campaign for the Golden State Warriors. But they have enough guys like him in that basketball team because Harrison Barnes, for example, I think can be a terrific player. I think he can play the 2, he can play the 3. Absolutely. A guy like that is not the great shooter that Klay Thompson has shown to be, but can get to the rim, a better defender than Klay Thompson, the underrated defender. But in the NBA now, we've heard time and time again, well, the NBA is more of a perimeter league, and you need fast guys. As we've seen from San Antonio, if you don't have a low post presence to help out those periphery guys, you're not going to win a championship. Miami was able to get away with it because they could put LeBron in the post at times, and Chris Bosh used to go in the post. Now he has an aversion to the paint, shooting 3-pointers for the Miami Heat.
That's spacing, Freddie. Spacing.
Spacing is one thing, but you need somebody inside to help out your spacing and coaching. Now, we'll see what happens with Golden State with their new head coach, Steve Kerr, who, by the way, hiring Alvin Gentry as an assistant, great move by Steve Kerr because you need somebody who knows the NBA landscape that's been a head coach. But if you bring a Kevin Love to that team that can play inside and outside, now that spacing is going to make your team that much better even without Klay Thompson. And you're bringing in a Kevin Martin who can also help you spread the floor and knock down shots from the outside. So now Steph Curry will have those 2 guys in addition to Harrison Barnes, and Andrew Bogut is still in this basketball team.
Love it.
If that trade happens, Kevin Love, that'll be very appreciative to him. That's an 8 for him. I think it's an 8 if it happens.
Then after next year, he could be like, I'm gone.
Right, and that's
the only thing I'm going to get.
I think it's worth it, though.
You see, really?
I think it's worth it.
See, there's a couple things, and I like Scoop's point, because there is no guarantee. So I'll give it a 5, okay? Because, you know, you have
Way to play it safe, John.
Well, yeah, no, I'm going to ride
2 plus 8, 10, divided by 2, give him 5.
There's a couple of reasons. That was well done by you, right? I give it a 5. Because we don't know if Kevin Love...
Is your last name Carey?
Because we don't know if he's going to resign.
You running for president?
Because we don't know he's going to resign. I'm agreeing with you, and he's still not.
He really is.
Don't we need to question how good Kevin Love actually is? Because Kevin, no, Scoop, you have to. No, Scoop,
why is
you're
that
that
question?
Good. He's never made the playoffs.
That's not his fault.
Well, that's not his fault.
No. Kevin Love. Give me all the guys. We consider Kevin Love to be an elite player in the NBA. I actually like this trade for Minnesota more than I like it for Golden State, but we'll get to that in a second. Give me all the elite players who go 7, because in basketball, Scoop, and you know this, okay? Both you guys know this. Everyone knows this. One player means more in that sport than in any other sport. You can only play 5 at a time.
Right.
Give me all the elite players who go 7, 8 years not making the playoffs. You had Carmelo last year, but usually he at least makes the playoffs. You can't name one. And Kevin Love has never made the playoffs. I don't care who's surrounding him.
Carmelo Anthony, those years in Denver, had guys who could actually help him, even in a rugged Western Conference. To your point, yeah, at a certain point, you need to get into the playoffs. But I'm not going to blame Kevin Love, a guy who's a double-double machine, a guy who's one of the top 10, 15 players in the league, because you can only do so much to raise the level of your team. For example, if Ricky Rubio could have stayed healthy, maybe they get into the playoffs last year, maybe they're further along getting into the playoffs, John, this year. But when you have a team like Minnesota, and they're really a victim of their circumstance, because if they're in the Eastern Conference, we're not having this conversation about Kevin Love getting into the playoffs. They're probably getting into the playoffs the last 2 years. But each and every night, Phoenix, who didn't get into the playoffs, Dallas, who won 49 games and pushed the San Antonio Spurs to 7 games. They gave the Spurs a better series than the Miami Heat did in the NBA Finals. I think because of where he is, if you get a chance to go to a team like Golden State and also you're going to get into the playoffs, that's going to be – I'm not going to blame him for the fact that he has not made the playoffs in the NBA.
And I think you got to take consideration, man. Over the last 5 years, they've had 3 of their top – I think they have top 10 draft picks that are not with the squad over the last 5 years. Johnny Flynn got drafted in the top 10. He's not there anymore.
Right.
Derek Williams got drafted in the top 5. He's not there anymore. Wesley Johnson got drafted in the top 5. He's not there anymore. This is an organizational thing. You cannot blame Kevin Love when the organization in the last 5 years, their 3 top draft picks that have been in the top 10 are no longer with the squad anymore.
Yeah, but I can because when you're a superstar, you at least get in as a 7
No,
or 8
no,
years.
you-
No,
Wow.
at least once in 7 or 8
that's
years.
ridiculous.
Wow.
John.
At least once in 7 or 8 years.
John, okay.
One time.
Okay, then name me another organization that has had 3 top 5 draft picks in the last 5 years, and none of those people are on the team within 5 years. Name another organization that's done that.
I don't know if I can off the top.
And that's what I'm saying. You can't blame all on Kevin Love. It has to be.
I'm not blaming it all on Kevin Love.
I'm blaming. Let's go 50. Let's go.
Well, let's
take your 5 down the line.
Let's do it.
Let's do your 5 down
Let's
the
do
line.
it this way. Kevin Love and Curry play in Golden State next year, and what? They win how many games? They're the what seed in the West? Because I don't think they're any better than they were this year.
They get to the playoffs, but if you take Steph
But
Curry,
they get to the playoffs without Kevin Love.
no. If you take Steph Curry and bring him down to Minnesota, they probably do make the playoffs.
It's all about personnel.
No, but let's
It's
say
all
this.
about personnel.
But the organization ain't gonna do that.
But Scoop, let's say this trade happens, all right? And next season, it's Kevin Love and Steph Curry in Golden State. How many games are they going to win with Kevin Love? You're taking Lee and you're taking Thompson off the team.
Okay,
you're going to be the same team that you were last year.
Yeah, you probably win 60. You know, if you get
No.
yeah, you might win
In the West?
55,
They
60.
can win. 55 is the ceiling because the West is loaded with the
52
Clippers.
last year.
Okay, but let's say they win 55 games and they have Andrew Bogut healthy. They still battling for the Western Conference Championship. They still are.
And
I
Kevin
get
Love-
that, but
yeah.
Kevin Love's no guarantee he's going to be there. Now, let's keep Kevin Love in Minnesota and get a player of Steph Curry's ilk. Or let's say they just keep 2 of their draft picks that were in the top 5 over the last
That
couple
actually
years.
panned out.
They're actually panned out, and, you know, then they're in the playoffs, at least battling for it. But for them not to have any of the, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know how valuable draft picks are?
Of course.
For you to give away 3 top 5 in the last 5 years, that's organization. That's not a player that's the reason they're not.
I think it'd be great if they got Klay Thompson and David Lee, the T-Wolves, if this trade went through, and then they finally made the playoffs without Kevin.
Well, put it this way, Kevin Love's a better player than David Lee. That's the crux of the whole deal. As good as David Lee has been, well, if you add a guy that's going to give you 22 and 15, which are better numbers than David Lee, exponentially, your team's going to be better even without Klay Thompson. And it's not like they're not getting a shoot in return. We're not saying Kevin Martin is going to replace Klay Thompson's production, but it's not going to be that much of a drop-off because Klay Thompson averaged 17, 18 points a game. Kevin Martin playing with Kevin Love inside and Steph Curry outside, he's going to get you 13 to 14 and get better shots in Golden State than he got in Minnesota.
Listen, I'm just
for
saying,
Golden
to me,
State.
I don't do it because for me, it doesn't make me better than the Spurs. It doesn't make me better than the Rockets. It doesn't make me better than Oklahoma City. So, and you're giving up David Lee and Klay Thompson in the draft pick. And you have no guarantee that he's going to stay.
That's my thing. I don't do it because of the guarantees not there.
I do it because Kevin Love's a better player, and he's a younger player than David Lee. He has a better skill set than David Lee. And in the Western Conference, when you have a guy that's a stretch four and a post-up four, something that David Lee is not, that's a no-brainer to me that you make that
Do you have
trade.
faith that he'll stay, though?
I have complete faith because if I'm Kevin Love and I get a chance to play with Steph Curry and Harrison Barnes on this basketball team, and I don't have to be the main guy inside because I got Andrew Bogut to help me out. And by the way, I'll know what the playoffs look like and not be a spectator. That's a no-brainer situation for
Freddie,
me.
we were
if I'm
talking
Kevin
about
Love.
Bogut, who's always hurt, and we're asking a lot out of Harrison Barnes.
That's-
I need to see more of Harrison Barnes before I'm ready to say he can replace.
That's fair, but I'll take a chance that Harrison Barnes will be able to replicate that production. Maybe not to the level of Klay Thompson, but just enough, especially he can get inside and outside.
And
probably
you get
better
the
than Klay
outside
Thompson.
shooting coverage that you're missing from Klay Thompson from Kevin Love because he can shoot from the outside better than
And
Harrison.
Draymond Green really helped out this basketball team, too. Really came along, the second-year player out of Michigan State.
Did you really stand up and reach over the table and high-five him?
Oh, yeah, that happened. That happened.
It was a little low dap. Not a high five, just a little low dap.
Just simply yes or no, if they did make the trade, if Kevin Love goes to Golden State, is that enough to get them to the finals, the NBA finals? Yes or no?
No, because the Western Conference loaded.
All right.
That's been my point the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you tried to compare him to the Spurs.
That's right.
You can't do that. Wait a minute, we know Golden State's not as good as San Antonio.
All right, so no player in NBA history has made three-pointers, more three-pointers in their first 3 seasons than Klay Thompson. Just want to throw that one out there. All right, the NBA draft is next week. Who will be the biggest star out of the stars?